we have an LG Wing. So this phone might be the strangest phone ever made. The LG Wing was LG's final attempt at the smartphone market. Fun fact, LG makes screens for iPhones. This LG has broken back glass and also broken front glass. We bought this phone off eBay for $173, which is kind of crazy because this phone actually retailed for $999. The screen and black glass ran us about $150 Canadian, bringing this total repair to about $350. So this phone actually has a gimbal and a pop-up camera. While this might be one of the most useless designs ever, the gimbal feature is actually really cool. So obviously this is software orientated, but you can get some really cool shots with this feature. This phone also has dual recording with a creepy pop-up camera. Hello. But yeah, aside from that, the dual screen is kind of useless. I'm curious to see how this mechanism works though, because it's unlike anything I've ever seen before. Anyway, enough talking about this phone. Let's get this thing fixed. So first things first, we have to cook the back glass. While it's cooking, we might as well answer a question. Max Air asks, I'm just asking, why do you need to heat up this stuff before you open them? Heating devices up basically loosens up that adhesive on the back glass, making it easier to remove without breaking it. The phone's done cooking. Let's see how this guy looks on the inside. Because the back glass is already cracked, we can be a little bit aggressive. Just a little bit. So we got the back glass off, but I gotta suck all this up, so. Shout out to Dyson. Can we just admire how good this sounds? Just listen. It sounds like something out of Star Wars. So this phone looks a lot like other Androids, of course, because they all look the same. It does have a huge battery though. This is really big. Anyway, let's get to unscrewing. We're gonna be using our motorized screwdriver because there's too many screws. If you guys want to buy this motorized screwdriver, I have all the links of everything I have in the description. Go check that out. Now we can remove all the back covers. There we go. That is interesting. Remove the bottom back cover as well. There we go. Okay, so over here we have our 64 megapixel main camera. Over here we have our 12 megapixel swivel camera. And over here we have our 13 megapixel wide angle camera. So this is unlike anything I've ever really seen. It looks like there's some sort of mechanism over here, and there's just a big ass hole in the PCB for what seems to be the display connector to go through. That is quite strange. So we got the back glass removed. We have the back components. What the f are these? We have the back plastic, I don't know what to call these, but I kind of want to check something out first. So this mechanism here seems to be responsible for making the camera go up and down. So I want to turn on the phone and I'm going to switch it to the front camera. Damn, that is really cool. Now it's time to unplug everything. So we're going to start off with the battery. And I'm assuming these are the charging port flex cables. This right here is the screen flex cable. It also has enough leeway so that when the screen actually turns, it's not pulling on it or doing anything absurd. Disconnect the screen. Disconnect the front camera. And we'll disconnect this antenna cable right over here. There we go. I believe we have everything disconnected. We still have to take out the SIM. Don't try this at home. That worked. Now we can remove the SIM card tray, which also has a micro SD slot. We should be able to lift up the logic board, or the motherboard. I fixed iPhones too much. We'll take a spudger tool, and we'll just pry up gently. And we have to be careful removing this flex cable from the big ass hole, because we could easily damage it. There we go. That is our motherboard. It's quite pretty. So I'm assuming these silver screws are mounted to the screen, just because when I wiggle the screen, I can also see those screws wiggling. So we're gonna unscrew all of these silver screws and see if the screen comes off. Unscrew. So the screen definitely feels loose, but it won't quite come off yet. So I'm gonna have to figure out how exactly I can get this off. The number one rule when repairing anything is be patient, don't force anything. If it's meant to come off, it'll come off. If it's not, you're gonna break it. So after playing around with this for quite a while, I finally figured it out. So basically, this bolt goes in through here, and you can only really remove it if it's perfectly aligned. But now that we have the screen removed, we can see what's going on over here. So this is obviously the display flex cable, and I think we have to remove this assembly here. So we're gonna start by unscrewing. Okay, so now we have all the screws removed. We can just pull up on this, and this just comes off. So this is the mechanism. 3 flex cables. I'm assuming they connect to the actual screen, but I'm not really sure. Where did this come from? So what we have to do now is actually pry off the old OLED display and then glue on a new one. We're gonna go back to the cooker, cook this up, and get it nice and warm. The OLED display is done cooking. So what we have to do is we just have to get under this OLED display and pry up on it. Nothing special or fancy. So only masters of repair can really get the display off without breaking it. It's near impossible to not break this thin paper-like OLED display. And there we go. That was pretty easy. So this is our OLED display removed, and that is the slot for the fingerprint reader. If I cover it, you can't see it. If I remove it, you can see it. And over here is our fingerprint reader. It's embedded within the frame, not the display, which is always nice. Makes for an easier repair. So now we have to glue on the new display. We will take our Tessa tape and liquid adhesive and make a glue on the display. Why is it that all tech YouTubers talk like robots? Now we can take our new display, slide that connector in place, and gently align the display with that frame and make sure everything is sitting nice and flush. So we left the phone in the clamps for a little while. We're all good to actually install the screen. We're almost done the repair. This has been very interesting so far. I've never done a repair like this. It's quite different, I must say. So now we're gonna reinstall the mechanism. For lack of a better word, I'm just calling it mechanism. So the screen is all ready to go now. It's time to reinstall it, and I've actually been kind of scared to do this because this little bolt is really hard to get on the right way. So you want to make sure that the actual slider here is facing upright. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to get this in. Oh, so I did it. We have the T back on. It's functioning as it would, which is great. Now it's time to install the motherboard again and get this thing back on and running. We'll take our motherboard and we'll slide this right in here. We need to make sure that the flex cable is going through the big ass hole. There we go. We have the board set in place. It's time to reconnect everything. And after testing it out, everything was working perfectly. It's time to apply the back glass. The one we bought came with pre-installed adhesive, so we can just remove the seal and put it on. This repair was incredibly hard for just a screen replacement. The LG Wing is truly one of a kind, but that T-shaped screen makes for an extremely hard screen replacement. I really wonder how many of these are going to end up in landfills, but that is all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Whenever that is. Could be tomorrow. We'll see.